Where were we? Were we here or we were at the next slide?
Here.
Okay. I was just talking about channel optimization and content optimization. They're kind of, I guess, the tools that we're going to look at today to help simplify and improve your overall social media strategy. So just cut me off if I already repeated myself, but just looking at how we optimize our social media channels or our platforms, Instagram and TikTok, and then how can we make the most of our contacts. So they're just lots of little tweaks, tips and tricks, things that we can do that are really simple and easy that can make the biggest difference. Okay, so why is social media important? It acts as a billboard for your business, brand, and your salon stylist. It's an opportunity to visually show off your talent and services. And this idea as social media as a billboard is something that Rob, our founder, drills into me quite a lot because it's so true. When clients, or in our case, customers, look up our brand, more often than not, they're going to social media, Instagram, TikTok, and the first impression that they get of our brand or of your business or of your salon stylist is what they see there. So it's so important that we're just putting forward the best quality content as we possibly can. So we'll come back to that shortly. It also helps to position you and your salon stylist as experts and professionals and can help nurture pre-existing and attract new clients. So we know that social media is important, but it can be overwhelming, confusing, and time-consuming. I'm with you. I very much feel this. So I think, to help navigate some of those feelings that we have towards social media is just to completely simplify it and not overcomplicate it. You'll hear a lot of rhetoric in the social media world that, more is more. And if you can post 3 times a day, the better. And that's all well and good if it's your job and, you have the time to do that. But I'm more of the belief that less is more, and it's better to put out quality over quantity. I kind of like to think of the analogy of a marathon. You could probably go run 42 kilometers tomorrow, but you're going to hate the process. You're going to feel rubbish at the 10K mark. And you'll probably never want to run a marathon again. Whereas you can slowly start to build up your running pace, your tolerance over a 6-12 month course and enjoy the process along the way. So I think we'll strip it back today and hopefully you'll leave today's session feeling excited and empowered to go forward with your social strategy. So our first tool is going to be the channel optimization. So how can you improve your social media presence? Now, I've got 3 things to touch on here. First one is just to sit and reflect on your current social media profile, whether that's Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever it is that you use, and just make sure you've got all the bits of the puzzles there. And again, it's these small things that make the biggest difference. So a few questions to consider is, what do you want your social media billboard to look like? What do you want your social media billboard to say about you? What is the information your audience needs more is more when it comes to providing those resources and information? So for example, your bio, think about in a nutshell, what is it that you offer? Who are you? You want to include your location. You want to include your contact information, email and/or phone number if you like to provide that information, opening hours, and your unique selling proposition. So what is it about your salon, or if you're a salon stylist, what is it about your services that makes you different from the others within your area? Some really great examples here. You'll see Tribe Hair. They're lived-in blondes. They're in Brisbane. It's a hair salon. It's right there at the top. It's really clear who they are, where they are, and what they are. They've got beautiful, healthy hair starts here. So I know if I'm going for that blonde look, it's also going to be healthy hair. They've got their opening hours, their location, and then a link to their booking system. So I know if someone said to me as a client, I've heard of this Tribe Hair, you should totally look them up and book in with them. I can look them up on Instagram and know where I can find all their information. It's just all there right in my face. A few other really great examples. We've got Salon Jamie Lee and Joey Skindizo Salon as well. So it's just, they've got all the information there. And again, it comes back to this notion of the billboard. It's what are we representing? What are we trying to communicate? And how can we best communicate that? So this kind of segues nicely into the next point, is look at maybe creating a link tree. Just a show of hands if you use a link tree, or you've already got one, or you're looking at getting one, or if you're not familiar with it. If anyone's used it, don't stress. So a link tree is a great resource. It's free. And I mean, there's different memberships, but the free version offers more than enough. And basically, you can compile all of your links. So your link to your website, your link to your booking system, your link to your services page, your price list, all into the one link. So you'll see here, Salon Kin, I believe it is. The link tree is in the bio here. You can click on it and it will redirect you to another page. And then all of these white tabs here link to those pages. So it's just a really good one to be able to compile all of those informations, those resources into the one spot. So one, you're probably not going to get as many messages from people asking the same repetitive questions over and over again. The information's all there. Yes. Number 3, just looking at your social media branding and making it cohesive. There's a lot of studies and research to show that brand cohesion helps to build trust. It obviously makes you look more professional. And again, it comes back to that idea of a billboard. You know, you want to be putting that best image forward of your business or your salon stylists. So you've probably already got a business logo. Think about just keeping that, you know, consistent across your website and also your social media. Look at finding some sort of aesthetic and stick to it. You know, don't be afraid to let your brand personality shine through. And yeah, just coming back to consistent brand logo, in-app fonts, and even like emojis. It's again the small details that can make the biggest difference. You'll see on our 11 Australia pages here, you know, we use the same font, we use the same colors, our logos are consistent. We use very similar use of emojis, tone of voice. And then another great example here is Edwards & Co. You can see that kind of cursive writing. That's obviously their writing of choice, and they've just kept that consistent across their content. So that's kind of how you can look at optimizing your social media channels and platforms. So now we're going to look at how can we create engaging social media content. So the first step before we do anything is just to get really clear as to who our audience is. So is your audience your clients or other salon stylists? Again, would love a show of hands if you tend to talk to your clients through your social media instead of your salon stylists. Don't know if anyone's there. All good.
They are there.
No problem. Thanks, Claire. So yeah, I guess you can do both, but I'd strongly recommend just choosing one audience. You know, you're either speaking directly to your clients or directly to other salon stylists. And once you get really clear on your audience, you can then create content to speak to that audience. So a few questions to ask, of course, is your audience your clients or salon stylist? What does your audience struggle with? That's a really key one. And what are your most asked questions from your audience? So for example, if you're focusing on your client audience, you know, some of the common questions or pain points, struggle points they might have is, you know, what do I ask for to get a lived-in low maintenance beachy blonde? How much will X service cost? What hair care product should I use for my dry, flaky scalp? If you have a salon stylist audience, you know, their questions, their pain points might be, what formula did you use to achieve that coppery red tone? What styling technique did you use to do that wet look, sleek look hair? So thinking about maybe what those questions and pain points are, and then how you can answer those in your content. So a really great exercise to do is just sit down with a pen and paper, think about all the questions you've been asked from your clients or salon stylists in the last, you know, couple of weeks, couple of months, and then think about how you can provide a solution to those questions in your content. So a good example of client-focused content here is this video. I think it's by Joey's Salon, Joey's Skin Dizzo Salon. It's a reminder, a retouch reminder. So it goes through and it talks about all the different services and gives a time frame as to when you'll need your retouch. So the question might have been here that they've got from their clients is, oh, I've just had half a head of foils. When do I need to come back in and get those topped up? This video really clearly explains it all. And yeah, definitely speaks to a client. As a fellow salon stylist, you're probably not going to find a lot of value in that because you already know that information. Whereas this video here, you'll see they've gone for a before and after, and then they've provided the formula in the caption on how to get that color. So again, that sort of content's not going to be beneficial for a client because I don't need to know the formulas, but it's a great content piece for your salon stylist audience. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, the second thing to do to create engaging social media content is we want to always be adding value and think about creating a hook. So something that I see a lot through salon stylist pages is they'll post these beautiful photos of the hair after it's done and it looks absolutely gorgeous. And I think, content like that performed so well 7, 8 years ago when that was really the only type of content we could produce, was just like a static image. But now we want to think about every time we post, how can I add value? What can I inspire my audience by? What can I educate my audience on? And again, it's just these small little tweaks that we can do to really help boost the engagement of our content. So just a few questions to ask. Does your content currently inspire or educate your audience? Before posting, ask yourself, what will my audience get from this post? And then think about, do you grab attention in the first 3 seconds? So if you are going for those static images of the beautiful after shots of your hair, think about how you can either inspire your audience more or educate them more. So, you might look at in the caption, writing the styling products that you used. You might say stylist tip, to get this bouncy, beautiful blowout, make sure you prep the hair with a I Want Body Volume foam. You want to think about maybe including like a before photo. So there's that hook, there's that, you're really reeling in the attention of the viewer. So just a few examples here. This was a video we created with Joey and Jamie Lee. Here's the quick and easy S-Bend tutorial you've been waiting for. It's value adding. It's an educational piece of content. It's a how-to/tutorial. There's a really strong visual at the start showing, that kind of unique S-Bend look, and then it goes into the tutorial. So that was one of our top performing content pieces. You may have seen Sarah's videos blow up on TikTok. She's a hair extension specialist. What she does really well is these dramatic before and afters. So these are so important to include in either your static image content or your reels. And you just see like such a beautiful transformation. It really hooks the viewer in. And then the third example here was just a really simple content piece. Again, strong before and after visual. And what I loved about this piece here is they've stated what they specialized in. So long lasting, low maintenance blonde. So you've got to think about, a client scrolling through the social media feed. If that popped up on mine, I'm a blonde, I love a lived in low maintenance look. Straight away, I'm like, okay, they know what they're doing. They've got that before and after, and I know that that's what they specialize in. And then I'll go onto their profile and find out more information. So once we kind of know who our audience is, what we can do to add value and kind of hook them in, we can start looking at some content ideas. So some questions to ask are, what is the content that you like to consume? What do you engage with? What content stops you from scrolling? And what content do you feel inspired by or learn from? So some really great content ideas that I see perform quite well across social for both a consumer and a salon stylist perspective. Hair transformations, like we just saw those beautiful before and afters that are quite dramatic. And you can see in the first, 3, 5, 10 seconds that before and after. It's really important that they're kind of back to back. Maybe a hair care tutorial, a hairstyling tutorial, a how-to, and then hair hacks. So again, some examples here. This was one we shot recently with our brand educator, Katie Groves. We did a video on how to get rid of a demarcation line. So we went through and, talked to the products used, the formulas used, and the styling products used. So that's an example of like a hair transformation. Hair care tutorial, another one we filmed with our brand artist, Nico. Just a really simple step-by-step tutorial, something that would be really beneficial for your clients that maybe want to like replicate a similar style at home. And then this third example here was from one of our Australian salon stylists who gave a dry shampoo hair hack. So it's just thinking about what is your audience, how can you add value, and then what is the type of content you find really engaging or you think that your audience will find engaging. So once we've got all of that, we can start to think about how we want to roll out that content. So, there's lots of different mediums we can do this through. And I guess coming back to my earlier point is we just want to simplify this. So if you know that filming and editing an Instagram reel, a TikTok is going to take you hours and hours and you're not excited by it, and it's just something you're not into, that's so fine. There's so many other ways that you can create those content ideas. So you could look at an Instagram post, a carousel. It's quick and easy. You could look at doing Instagram stories. This is another great way to really build more of a brand personality and show the behind the scenes of your business or the behind the scenes of a salon stylist. So again, just figuring out what's going to be most easiest for you to execute and most enjoyable for you to execute as well. Few resources I love to use as well that are free. The app CapCut is amazing for editing Instagram Reels or TikToks, and the Lightroom app is great for editing photos. So you might just want to take a quick photo of those there. You can get them on the App Store. You can have them on your phone. They're a little bit fiddly to use at the start, but once you get the hang of it, they're amazing. Number 5 is our posting cadence. So how often do you want to post? How often realistically can you post? Again, completely appreciate running a business or being a salon stylist. It's full time, it's full on. There's a lot always going on. It's long hours. So just think about maybe the pockets of your week where you have a little bit of downtime, and realistically think about what's going to be achievable to post. Kind of coming back to what we talked about before, less is more and quality over quantity. So, if it's posting once a week and that's all you can do, perfect. Just whatever works best for you. Another free resource I love is Later. It's a scheduling platform. So this is a great platform if you are really short on time. You can, create the content and then put it into Later, and you can schedule it in to be auto posted. So, whilst you're on the floor, if you're in the salon, you can have photos being posted as you're working, just to take that added stress off. So another great free resource there. And then finally, looking at our content and post optimization. So what are the things we need to be considered when creating content? And then how can we best create content that's going to be reposted by brands in 11 Australia? So we always want to think about creating content, if possible, in natural light. It will just give you the most clean, crisp result opposed to using artificial light. If you're taking before and after photos, maybe just getting your client to step out of the salon so you can get, natural light on the hair. If you have, really yellow, harsh overhead lights, it's just going to create some weird shadows and probably not showcase the best before and after. Especially with 11, we love posting content that's really clean and crisp. So that means having a tidy background, of course, where possible, just making sure people aren't running around or there's, towels packed up in the background or all different sorts of products, where you can just try to keep it really crisp and minimalistic. If you're creating an Instagram reel or a TikTok, don't be afraid to use on-screen text to kind of outline what your video is about. So is it a hair transformation? Is it a quick and easy hairstyle tutorial? You could do 3 steps to create a messy bun. Just don't be afraid to use those on-screen text to, again, really catch the attention of your audience. I've kind of already talked to this a million times, but strong before and after visuals are the best way to hook in your audience, but also just show the credibility to your work. Something that I often see through salon stylist content is they'll do a before and then they'll show the process of the hair transformation and then they'll do the after. I'd recommend doing the before, then the after, and then going into the process of the transformation. Again, it just comes back into that, putting the mind of the consumer in front. If they're scrolling through hundreds and hundreds of reels and TikToks, you need to be able to stop that scroll, and to do that before and after is super, super beneficial for that. Was that someone speaking up? Sorry. Cut me off if I'm jumping ahead too much.
No, it's great.
Okay, cool. Then if you want to make sure that you're showcasing product names, how to use the products. If you want to highlight key ingredients, features, benefits, you can do that as on-screen text, as a voiceover or in the caption. Especially if you want to, of course, get reshared by a brand. Often I see through salon stylist content, they'll do an amazing piece showcasing, using our products, but then, they'll put a Kevin Murphy product, or I probably shouldn't say another brand, but they'll put another product brand next to us and we can't reshare that product because it's a competing brand. So I think just, keeping all these little things in the back of your mind when you're creating and editing your content. Of course, if you use our products or any brand's products, just always tag them both in the caption and then as a tagged person. And then, of course, using trending audio and maybe 5 to 6 hashtags that are relevant to your video and post. So that's everything. I've probably word vomited everywhere. So if you have any questions, let me know, whether it's related to what we've just spoken about or about your own social channels. Honestly, very, very happy to help.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That was really good. I've got a few questions to start us off, and then hopefully people will get more sort of like able to do this because they're not so scared. So I think one of the things that I hear, and I've got tons of notes as well, by the way, thank you.
Awesome.
I think that some of the things that I hear from salons is the time poor bit about creating that content. And one of the people that I love to sort of look at her work, because everything you say about clean, crisp, minimalistic, is Jamie Lee in Australia. And obviously we're obsessed with Australian hairdressers, with being 11 Australia. We just love that lighting and everything. So she creates some really amazing content, and you can see that she's spending quite a bit of time on creating that. For the regular people in the rest of the world, where we don't have that beautiful Australian light and we don't have days to do content, what kind of advice would you give? Would you say to, like, I asked the question in our collective of like, how do you create your content? And quite a few people said as and when. So they're not sort of like planning ahead. How much time would you say to dedicate to do something like that? Do you need a day? Do you need an afternoon? Or would you say create as you're going along?
Of course, that's such a good question. And I think Jamie Lee, you've nailed it. She's everything that we love, and it's that beautiful, crisp, minimalistic content. But I think the important thing to know with Jamie is, to my knowledge, she has a content assistant. So, if you're seeing that and going, oh, I can't do that and I can't manage it, it's because she's got the extra set of hands. So I think above and before anything, it's just about being kind to yourself and acknowledging that, yeah, you are time poor. And, in a perfect world, it'd be amazing to have someone zipping and taking content and editing for you.
Dream.
The dream. In a perfect world, I'd love the same. I'd love an extra set of hands. So I think, first step is just like acknowledging that and, being kind to yourself. And then I think secondly, kind of stripping it back, and it's not going to be 6-7 posts a day, with a story and a post and a reel, and then you're going to have a TikTok account. It's just sitting down and thinking, what's the easiest way for you to make content, and realistically, how often can you post that content? So, as I said before, creating a reel and a TikTok, that takes so much energy and time, more than people realize, because it's, not only coming up with the idea, it's the filming, it's the editing, it's the caption writing. There's a lot that goes into that. So maybe to start off, it's not going towards, reels and TikToks. It's looking at a static post, but then coming back to those things we spoke to before is, how can I get the most out of this post? Before and after visual, give some value in the caption, talk about what products you were used, a call to action, like make sure you save this post for your next hair care or your next hair appointment. So yeah, I think, strip it back. If it's just 1 or 2 posts a week and that feels manageable, amazing. And yeah, I think you'll kind of get into a rhythm. Doing it ad hoc, if that's the best way, of course, go for it. But yeah, I think just know when you see those salon stylists out there that have, got all these amazing, it's almost like production, it seems really full steam ahead. Just know that the 9 times out of 10 probably have an extra set of hands. So just stay in your own lane and think about what the best way is for you to create that content.
Yeah, that almost becomes overwhelmed, doesn't it, when you're looking at that and going, I can't compete with that.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
We have got some questions. I knew they'd come if I started. Okay, so one from Andy. What is the best time of day to post content, or does it matter? Sorry, I'm driving.
No worries, Andrew. That's a really interesting question. I'd say probably a couple of years ago, the best time, there was definitely a best time to post the content. With all the algorithmic changes, you'll notice you won't get fed content in chronological order. It's kind of whatever's most engaged with is getting pushed to the top of your feed. So again, coming back to the time poor thing, don't be limited by that. If you're you know, in the salon and you want to post then and there, don't think, oh, I have to wait till 7 o'clock tonight because I'm going to get more engagement. Just post it. So yeah, I wouldn't say that there's a best time to post content, not at this stage, at least.
Okay, amazing. And then one from Sophie: I make a reel and I have 10 likes, but get a notification say it's been viewed 1,000 times. What am I doing wrong?
So I think, Sophie, what you're saying is that you're getting 10 people like it, but then
you're getting 1,000 views on it.
Views. Another interesting question. So something as well, you've got to think about your own psyche when you're using Instagram and TikTok. And I know, for one, when I'm scrolling through content, I might love the content, but I'll just view it. I won't like or comment on it. So I think, again, be kind to yourself. It's not necessarily it's a bad piece of content. I just think, you know, people interacting with Instagram and TikTok today, they're not always loving or commenting on the things that they're enjoying. So there might not be anything that you're doing wrong. It might just be the way that people are, the, you know, kind of behavior behind social media today. But again, maybe there are some things that you could optimize. So what can we do to get likes and comments? You know, in the top of your caption, you could say, if it's a hair tutorial, it could be, what hair tutorial would you like to see next? Comment below. Or it can be, save this video for your next hair appointment. Thinking about ways we can get people to engage with that post. I think those small things can make a difference.
It's interesting you said about the tutorial bit, and I hadn't actually worked this out in my own mind. And it's not hair related. I've had some sore knees from running, and I've been researching about knees and strengthening knees, and it's amazing. All the ones that I've interacted with, I've saved for later, because they're like, save this for later, then you can do that later. And I'm like, okay, that actually does make sense. So if it was a hair tutorial, like I'm going to a wedding guest hair, or I'm going to prom or whatever that is, save for later, save for when you need this. And I'm like, okay, it's interesting, because I'm giving that service. But
exactly, yeah, bang on. So Sophie, you know, it's about looking at that video and thinking, is it just a pretty video of hair, or am I adding that value? Am I educating someone on how I got to that hair, what products I used? The more value you can add, the more likely people will like, comment, save, share. So hopefully that answers. But again, don't be too hard on yourself, because I think sometimes the algorithm and Instagram, TikTok, you can be doing all the right things, and sometimes it's just not on your side. And I feel that as well.
I think as well, you've got to think about why you're posting, haven't you? I know you sort of like covered, massively helps, thank you. I know we covered that sort of like earlier on, and all this information that you've gone through is available on the resources button at the bottom, so you can download this PDF as well for afterwards, so you can have a read through it if you need to go back and have a think about it, save for later. And I'll obviously put that onto the collective as well, but there'll be the video too. I think what for me is really interesting is why you're posting. And you said about just doing some pretty pictures and just doing a video because you feel you should do some social media content. And I think that's quite hard, isn't it? Because you kind of like just go, I've got to do some social, haven't done any social this week. Do you think then it's having that strategy of like who you're posting to and why? Because I repost a lot of stuff on 11 because it's great, because it's sharing formulas and things. But like you say, your clients don't want that, do they?
Yeah, exactly. And I think, you know, something as a client or as a consumer, if I'm seeing, you know, formula videos or content come up on my feed, that's not applicable to me, and I'm more likely to unfollow. So I think it's about streamlining. Are you talking to your clients? Are you talking to your audience? And, you know, coming back to those kind of workshop points we talked about earlier, sitting down and thinking, all right, what are all the questions I get from my clients? What are their pain points? What do they struggle with? And how can I answer that in my content? I feel like, again, it comes back to that value adding content that hopefully you might see a massive difference in all of that.
Amazing. Has anybody else got any questions before we wrap up? No. We look like you've answered a lot. Honestly, that's brilliant. I know some of it you kind of like go, oh, I did know that. And then you're like, yeah, but I'm not doing that. And
Yeah.
it's just really,
Fresh.
yeah, you're like, okay, yeah, even like down to the captions. One of my pet hates is when I was first sort of looking at social media is like people didn't say where they were.
Yeah.
And you have to like go back into it and try and look at the tags that they've done and things. And if I'm looking for a haircut, I'm not good. I'm out of there by that point.
100%. And I think, to that point, exactly, like again, as a client, it can really make or break. I live in London, and often I'll get people say like, oh, you should go to this hair salon. I'll look them up. I don't know whereabouts in London they're based. There's the price list isn't in, there's no link to their price list. I want to know how much I'm going to be charged. I don't know what services. There's all these pieces of the puzzle that sometimes just aren't there. And I'm like, all right, on to the next, because it's a harsh reality. But I feel like, this day and age, we just want everything at our fingertips. We want everything served to us on a platter. So I think where we can, let's give that information to our clients in whatever way works best for you.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for this. I know it took some work to pull all that together, and we massively appreciate it. So thank you for spending your Monday morning with us. And yeah, anybody got any questions, let us know on the collective page, and we can get those answered for you. Thanks everyone, and enjoy your Monday.
Thanks everyone. Thanks
Bye.
for
Bye bye.